The story of Gia Carangi, the world's first supermodel who died of AIDS at 26. Gia Marie Carangi, January 29, 1960 to November 18, 1986, was an American fashion model widely regarded as one of the world's first supermodels. With her striking beauty, dark hair, and fearless presence in front of the camera, she became one of the most recognizable faces of the late 1970s and early 1980s. In 2023, Harper's Bazaar ranked her 15th among the greatest supermodels in the 1980s. She was featured on the covers of numerous magazines, including multiple editions of Vogue and Cosmopolitan. She appeared in advertising campaigns for fashion houses such as Armani, Dior, Versace, and Yves Saint Laurent. Born into a working-class family in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Gia's life mirrored a classic rags-to-riches story, only, in a heartbreaking twist, the riches eventually gave way to hardship once again. Her blue-collar roots gave her an authenticity and edge that set her apart in the glamorous world of high fashion. After moving to New York City in 1978, she experienced a meteoric rise, appearing on the covers of Vogue and Cosmopolitan and walking runways or modeling for prestigious fashion houses including Dior, Yves Saint Laurent, Calvin Klein, Armani, Versace, and others. Behind the scenes, however, Gia struggled with deep personal challenges. The death of her mentor and friend, Wilhelmina Cooper, in 1980 profoundly affected her, and she turned to heroin, beginning a battle with addiction that would ultimately derail her flourishing career. As her substance abuse worsened, jobs became less frequent, and the glamorous lifestyle that had once seemed limitless began to unravel. As a teenager, she longed for acceptance and friendship, often sending flowers to other girls in hopes of gaining their attention and affection. While attending Abraham Lincoln High School, she became part of a group known as the Bowie Kids, devoted fans who embraced David Bowie's bold, theatrical image and emulated his defiantly weird, high-glammed style. Gia's love of fashion and her unique sense of style would later become part of what made her stand out in the modeling world. Carangi was drawn to Bowie for his fashion preferences and his ambiguous gender play and outspoken bisexuality. One of Carangi's friends later spoke of her tomboy persona, describing her relaxed openness about her sexuality as reminiscent of the character Kay in the film Desert Hearts, 1985. Carangi and her bi-tri-Bowie mad friends hung out in Philadelphia's gay clubs and bars. Though she is associated with the lesbian community, she did not want to take up the accepted lesbian style. After being featured in Philadelphia newspaper ads and being discovered by Sandra Scarcella in Maurice Tannenbaum's hair salon, Carangi moved to New York City at the age of 17, where she signed with Wilhelmina Models. By the end of 1978, her first year in New York, Carangi was already a well-established model. Of her quick rise to prominence, described by Vogue as meteoric, Carangi later said, "I started working with very good people, all the time, very fast. I didn't build into a model, I just sort of became one." Carangi was earning $500,000 in a year at the height of her career. At the height of her career, Carangi was best known in modeling circles by only her first name. During this time, she also appeared in the Blondie music video for the single Atomic. A regular at Studio 54 and the Mud Club, Wilhelmina Ali used cocaine in clubs. After her agent, mentor, and friend Wilhelmina Cooper died of lung cancer in March 1980, a devastated Carangi began using drugs and developed an addiction to heroin. Carangi's addiction soon began to affect her work. She had violent temper tantrums, walked out of photo shoots to buy drugs, and fell asleep in front of the camera. Scavollo recalled a fashion shoot with Carangi in the Caribbean when she was crying. "She couldn't find her drugs. I literally had to lay her down on her bed until she fell asleep." During one of her final location shoots for American Vogue, Carangi had red bumps in the crooks of her elbows where she had injected heroin. Despite airbrushing, some of the photos, as published in the November 1980 issue, reportedly still showed visible needle marks. In November 1980, Carangi left Wilhelmina Models and signed with Ford Models, but she was dropped within weeks. By then, her career was in a steep decline. Modeling offers soon ceased and her fashion industry friends, including Sandy Linter, refused to speak to her, fearing their association with her would harm their careers. In an attempt to quit using drugs, she moved back to Philadelphia with her mother and stepfather in February 1981. Carangi underwent a 21-day detox program, but her sobriety was short-lived. She was arrested in March 1981 after she drove into a fence in a suburban neighborhood. After a chase with police, she was taken into custody, and it was later determined she was under the influence of alcohol and cocaine. After her release, Carangi briefly signed with a new agency, Legends, and worked sporadically, mainly in Europe. In late 1981, although still using drugs, Carangi was determined to make a comeback in the fashion industry and signed with Elite Model Management. While some clients refused to work with her, others were willing to hire her because of her past status as a top model. Scavollo photographed her for the April 1982 cover of Cosmopolitan, her last cover appearance for an American magazine. Carangi then mainly worked with photographer Albert Watson and modeled for department stores and catalogs. She appeared in an advertising campaign for Versace, shot by Richard Avedon. He hired her for the fashion house's next campaign, but during the photo shoot, in late 1982, Carangi became uncomfortable and left before any usable shots of her were taken. Around this time, Carangi enrolled in an outpatient methadone program but soon began using heroin again. By the end of 1982, she had only a few clients who were willing to hire her. Carangi's final photo shoot was for German mail-order clothing company Otto GmbH in Tunisia. She was sent home during the shoot for using heroin. She left New York for the final time in early 1983. Carangi spent most of her modeling earnings on drugs and spent the final 3 years of her life with various lovers, friends, and family members in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania and Atlantic City, New Jersey. She was in intensive therapy and was able to stay sober for 7 months. After treatment, she got a job in a clothing store, which she eventually quit. She later found employment as a checkout clerk and then as a cafeteria worker at a nursing home. By late 1985, she had begun using drugs again and was engaging in prostitution in Atlantic City. In December 1985, Carangi was admitted to Warminster General Hospital in Warminster, Pennsylvania, with bilateral pneumonia. A few days later, she was diagnosed with AIDS-related complex. Carangi was hospitalized in October 1986, feeling weak. On October 18, she was admitted to Hahnemann University Hospital in Philadelphia. Carangi died at the Hahnemann Hospital of AIDS-related complications 1 month later, on November 18, 1986, at the age of 26. Her funeral was held on November 23 at a small funeral home in Philadelphia. No one from the fashion world attended. However, weeks later, fashion photographer Francesco Scavollo, Carangi's friend and confidant, sent a mass card when he learned of her death. Gia Carangi left behind a powerful legacy not just through her iconic, boundary-pushing imagery that changed modeling forever, but as a deeply human reminder of the vulnerability hidden behind the world's most glamorous facades.